What's up, people? This is Ethan.
And I'm Court.
And this video we're going to talk about the land and the construction of our home on the land and give you all the updates and basically everything of where we are from then till now. I know a lot of you guys been wanting to know. I've been wanting to know.
We didn't want to give you guys any updates because we know we said that we would along the way in the last update video, but we didn't want to give you guys any until anything was like for sure 100% happening, because we didn't want to like say this is happening now and then a week later it's not. So if you guys have ever done a new build, then you know it can be a little stressful, it can be frustrating, and things change constantly. And as you can imagine, with the way things are going right now with inflation and all of those crazy things in our world, things have been up and down and all around, and we've gone through all the emotions.
Yeah. And to be frank, this is our first time ever doing anything like this. We're newbies. All the information that we were getting up front was all new information for us, and we didn't know which was left, which was right, who to talk to, where to go. We're talking to people in a different state that we never met before in our lives, so it was definitely a new experience for us when it came to this. Buying the land was not so difficult. It just required a lot of work up front as far as finding it, making the call, setting up, buying a plane ticket, actually traveling out there. That was mainly the big thing with the land purchase compared to actually the process of building a home.
In the whole process, that was the easiest part, I would say, is finding the land and buying the land, because buying land is a lot different than buying a home. The loan process for that, if you are going to use a loan to buy it, is way easier in the sense of like, because you don't have a structure on there, so like I feel like it takes less to get approved to buy a plot of land than it does to buy land with a home on it.
We'll just jump right into it. How would you want to?
The last thing I think we talked about in our last update video was that we were going to start building.
Yeah, that was the original plan.
I think we're going to go meet with contractors, because that was before. So basically the last thing I think that we did, the first thing we did was back Thanksgiving break, we met with contractors. During Thanksgiving week, we met with a couple contractors, and by the end of that week we had chosen one. And we were like all gung-ho and like super excited, and it takes a lot longer for certain things, just because a lot of people are buying, building, whatever homes. And so then the next thing was we had to find a floor plan, send it off to, I guess, the engineer, whatever she's called, and that takes, originally it used to take like 2 to 3 weeks. Now it's anywhere from 1 to 2 months, because they're so busy, and the one that we were working with is is in high demand, but she's really good and works really well with our contractor. That took longer than we thought, because people in our families and our friends were like, "Oh, when are we going to see the plans? When are we going to see the house plans?" And we're like,
"When are we going to see the house plans?" Dang, where's this lady at?
I'm pretty sure Ethan.
Dang, I sent the money like a month ago. Where's it at?
I'm pretty sure our contractor was getting annoyed with us, because we were like, "Hey, just want to check," but of course he has nothing to do with that part. She can only work so fast, and of course we don't want them done wrong. So that took about a month, I think, after we sent her the money to do it.
About 6 weeks.
About a month. And then you have to remember, after you get that first set of floor plans, you look them over with your contractor and decide, do I want to tweak something? Do I want to add this? So first set of plans were okay, let's add some windows here, let's take this out, let's add this, blah, 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 blah. And we had added a gym as well to our gym space, basically. It didn't have to be a gym, to our floor plan as well. So we're moving along with that, and then comes, because you have to have the the completed plans in order to get the construction loan.
Yeah.
Because of course then that tells them exactly how much it's going to cost and blah, blah, blah. But the twist with that too is, and this is where things get tricky with the way inflation and everything is right now and things getting imported, is prices go up and down constantly. One thing we learned from our contractor is that every 2 weeks lumber prices change, or they can change. So back in, even just a couple years ago, lumber would stay the same price for at least a month or two, Now they can only keep those prices for 2 weeks. So let's just say we get a construction loan for $350, it could go up to $380 at like in the middle of our build. Mm-hmm. So that part was where we started to get this feeling of, I don't know about this, like, is this the right time to do this? So we're like, okay, let's fix that and build a smaller home so that we have that flexibility in funds and not feeling like we're overdoing it because we didn't want to do that financially.
We did not want to overpay.
Yeah.
Just at the end of December, after we talked to the contractors, the price of the homes that we were originally going to buy were about $280.
Yeah.
One was $220 because we originally had to.
We were gonna build.
We originally had to do 2 different house plans. Literally 3 months later, 90 days later, as we're getting these plans sent back to us, the prices went up $80,000. So the original one we thought was gonna be $280 or whatever is now $380, or $350. And then adding on the gym would have been another $30,000, which is not bad. But from the original price to the 340, 350, that's a big jump. So those are the things that we were having to think through. Like, okay, so how about?
And the prices could go up even more from that.
Yeah.
Or they could go up, they could go down, and we personally didn't like that because we're not multimillionaires, and so we don't have just cash to just blow, you know. And then there's things that, like, Ethan and I, you know, in the end part of the build, you know, like the cosmetic things that I know there's some things that, because our contractor said that this is like the base price for everything and we'll give you a budget for each of these things. And I said, there's going to be things we're going to want to spend a little bit of extra money on. Like maybe we want to spend a little more money on a better countertop or something like that. And I'm like, we're not going to have that flexibility.
Yeah.
So. And
that was my biggest, I wouldn't say red flag, but my biggest concern is like, we couldn't lock in anything from the bank.
Yeah.
Like, the banks couldn't lock us in on anything. They're like, everything's fluid. Everything's going to have to fluctuate. And it's kind of like, what?
And it was none of their fault. It's just the way the market and everything with inflation is going right now. So, you know, it's frustrating, but at the same time, like, we can't be frustrated with them because they have no control over that.
Yeah, they had no. So what we did, we decided, you know what, we'll put a smaller home on there because originally it was 1,800 square foot, a little bit above 18, probably 18,900 or something like that. And so we're like, you know what? We'll go back to our original plan, which is putting on not a tiny home, but more like a guest house style.
Yeah.
And then build like 5 years later or 4 years later, however much time. But we went with our original idea, so we went down to 1,400 square foot, and it was a really nice floor plan, an open floor plan, very modern, everything's up to date. And that one was originally about 220, but since we waited 3 months because we were waiting for all this dang paperwork to go through, the drawings and all that stuff, it went up to 300 and like 2,000. So that's $80,000 just in 3 months. And
you have to factor in that's without furniture and all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's just from top to bottom, with cement all the way up to the electrical, all the way through the top of the home.
It does include appliances, but that doesn't include furnishing the entire house and then all the other things outside, like adding a fence around our property and, you know, things like that. So it's still more than we wanted to spend, but we were willing to do that. Yeah. So then we got to we had to apply for that construction loan. Mm-hmm. And we got to the point of then it's all of the interest rate going up, and we were like, okay, at first it was only going to be 3% I think, or something like that.
We were tricking
and we're like, okay, that's not what we really want, but it's not horrible, and we can always refi later.
Yeah.
And our mortgage wouldn't have been too crazy. Well, but it's a process, and you have to wait for things to happen, and like nothing that we can rush along. We just have to sit there and wait and patiently wait. And the interest rate went up again during that time. Yeah,
and remember, people, we're only in April.
Yeah.
And this is when
we're talking in a matter of
December.
A couple of weeks.
So this is not a year. This is only a couple of months.
Yeah.
So the interest rate went from last year, y'all remember the sweet 2.76 or something like that? It was like 2.6 or something like that. People were buying like crazy. We should probably buy it. But
we sold during that time.
That's true. But in a span of 90 days, 120 days, the interest rate went from 2.6 whatever to
now it's
5.3, dang near 6%. If you don't have excellent credit, it's 5 point something, right? But if you kind of have like good credit, like where people are mainly locked in, like maybe like 600 to like 7 something, 720, 650 to 750, whatever.
And
then that's still like a high interest rate.
yeah.
And another thing I didn't like what the banks were kind of doing is pushing us to an adjustable for the land.
Because of like, it was a unique situation. We weren't buying a new home, like a tract home or something, or even one that's already built. We're combining our land loan with a construction loan that would then in turn become the mortgage. And so it was a little bit trickier and just very different. And so that was part of the reason they were doing the adjustable rate. It had nothing to do with our credit, because we both have really good credit.
Yeah.
But
yes, I have good credit, and I'm black, and I'm young.
Oh my gosh.
Just had to put that in there.
But ultimately what we're getting at is, you can probably guess, we decided that this was not the time to build for us.
No.
Doesn't mean we're not ever going to. We plan to in the near future, but at this moment we decided, in our best financial interest, it wasn't the smart thing to do. We didn't want to have a high interest rate, and it probably wouldn't even have been 5.5 like it is right now, but
Probably
there's
higher.
also things that we can't control when it comes to that. So no matter how good your credit is, and we didn't want a super high mortgage. We didn't want to be spending,
$25,000 to $3,000 a month.
Which I know may not sound like a lot to some people, but for us, that's something we both were like, you know what? No. So we came up with a better plan that we'll share with you guys later.
Yeah.
But we still have the land. We're still going to be working on it as time goes on while we're doing the other thing that we'll share later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, everything works out for the right reasons. God has a plan for us, so we're not really concerned about it.
Yeah, and I loved the process because we were able to...
We learned a lot.
We learned a lot about how construction loans work, how the banks work. And the banks basically, at this point in this current stage we're in, they don't trust nobody. They don't think people can pay stuff back, or they can trust it, which is fine. But they were trying to push us to an adjustable rate, but they wouldn't lock us in on a fixed rate, which is kind of like, you want to put us on the adjustable, but you won't lock us in on the fixed. So you say yes to this, but no to this. Anybody out there that is going to buy a new home, or let's say you're anxious on buying a house, like especially first-time home buyers, people young as us or older, don't do an adjustable, especially during this time.
No.
And it's just my opinion. It's just my opinion.
A lot of people lose their homes.
But the interest rates have been rising. This is 3 months. Have risen over almost double. Or over double, and I see it rising up to like 8 to 9% before the end of this year. So 0.25% is what they said how they're gonna do the interest rate hikes, the Fed. And I was thinking about this, if I did say, you know what, let's do the adjustable so we can get in the house and we can have our stuff and blah 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 blah, not really think it through. Our mortgage probably would have doubled or tripled. So 25 would have been up to $5,000 by summer or whatever. So when you guys are doing this, and this is what we had to learn, sometimes what's glitter and gold isn't probably the best decision for you guys. It wasn't for us. We decided to kind of kindly be like, you know what, we'll just hold off.
We changed paths.
Yeah, we'll change paths
really quickly, and it all worked out for the best, and so we'll share all of that soon because we have exciting news.
Yeah, we're still excited. Trust me, we're still excited.
One door closed, another one opened, and we're all worked out, I think, better than what we even planned. So we're super excited for that and excited to share with you guys. Yeah. So if y'all have any questions, like if you guys have any questions for us about, let's say after this video, you guys like, hey, I have a question about this, and that. Comment below. We'll answer it for you guys to the best of our abilities. So other than that, that's kind of the situation that happened with the land. We're still pushing forward. We're still looking on maybe changing it up, doing different things for the property, adding things. So we are still figuring stuff out. We are still figuring things out on that. And now that we kind of we pivoted a whole different direction, it gives us time to choose and figure out what we do want to do with that land. But one good thing I wanted to tell you about the property, if you guys wanted to buy land, is that
our property went from, our property is now about 25 grand an acre.
Yeah.
And we didn't build nothing on it. So land appreciates as well, if y'all didn't know. So we bought it October-ish.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't build nothing on it. We didn't touch it. We didn't nothing. And it went from like, I think it was like 17,000 an acre or 18,000 an acre to 25,000 an acre and more.
I think it went up like about 5K an acre or something.
So always keep that in perspective. Like even if you bought land, it's still a good investment because it appreciates in value, and then you can take the equity out of the land.
It's not likely to lose its value.
That's the video for today. We hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys took some value away from it. Again, if you guys have any questions, comment below. Like and subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Ethan.
And I'm Court.
And we are out of this place. Oh, I can't do the Illuminati stuff. We are out.